Good Wednesday morning, and welcome to Ice Age TV, the internal combustion engine age YouTube channel that talks about all my cars and trucks and motorcycles and SUVs and the dogs and the weather, the attitudes. Hey, good Wednesday morning there, and I appreciate everybody tunes into my channel. Morning, hope you have a great morning and hope you have a great time during the festivities of the season, of the happy holidays. Hopefully your holidays are happy. So, as usual, I like to talk. Can you tell? If you watch my channel, pretty obvious. So, what are we doing today as we cross the conduit pipe that gets all the water out of my property, makes it so I can drive my vehicles. I put that highway conduit pipe, whatever you call it, that was done like 30 years ago. I created that so I could drive across this area over here to the barn to have my future car addictions even be worse, right? So, oh my goodness gracious. If you watch my channel, it just doesn't end. It doesn't end. The adventures of the cars, the motorcycles, the trucks. And I thought to myself, do I wear a hat? Do I wear a hat for each day to recognize each brand I own? So I had the Indian hat on yesterday. Did I have a Harley hat on Monday? Yeah. I think I did. I can't remember. But I got the Ford hat on today. You know, I was thinking to myself, most dominant product in my collection. And you'd have to say, oh, I know. You'd say, yeah, Ford. Is it, though? Is it? Can we take the count? Come on. All right, let's get the dogs up in the shop, in the office, and get the day going with the conversations. As you can see, I rearranged the shop to get the Hellcat Red Eye out because I did a nice thing on it. Why did he just drop his? We did the exhaust, the dog. I'm sorry, but this guy here, come here, pups, come on. It's the Ginger and Kiefer challenges, the lover boy and the girl, and so here you go, Keith. Here you go, Keith. Up there, get there. There you go. Come on, Ginger, get up there. Distract me. You like to attack my girl. What is that all about? I guess it's like men. Men like to attack women, right? I mean, don't take it the wrong way there, ladies. But, yeah, we have our problems. Look at this here. Did I do it right? I need to call Mac and say, where's my oval tips? I don't think he put them in my trunk. Did they? Let me look. Oh, the car's locked. Why is the car locked? Oh, I think I'm going to do the startup for it. That's right. So here's my new exhaust tips, the retro, which I think that looks pretty cool. Now they're chromed out. I know some people are like, why did you make them chrome? They need to be black. All the Dodge here is chrome. The Hellcat emblem up here is chrome. So I'm sure some would be like, yeah, I got hood pins that are chrome, right? What else is chrome on this thing? Yeah, the SRT up there. So, but I thought the chrome would stick out more, give a little bit more of that flair to it. And so now the question is, did I accomplish what I wanted by removing the exhaust out of this car? Now, I'm sure some people right now are saying, okay, so Mr. Iceman, you got us going on the conversations this morning, but what's the theme? And right, what's the theme? So the theme went from the payoff on Monday to the credit conversations yesterday, and I thought today would be the cash, C-A-S-H, cash conversations for the theme today about the cars, trucks. But I'm going to get this car started. Let's see how this thing sounds. Did I do it right? Does it start after all that money? This is music to my ears. Wow. We did it. I did it. Too bad I didn't have the rev capability like the Mustangs do on the automatic setup. You can rev the engine up with the key fob. Man, I'm just loving this. Wow. I mean, I'm just loving, because that is huge. I don't think they put it back here. They didn't. Okay. All right. So, anyways, all right. So now, do I go out to the Mustang? I was going to do that. I don't need to. I think that sounds incredible. Now, do I go over here to this car here and do that? Well, here's the thing. If you're watching my channel, there's a huge difference in the exhaust. Even to the point Bob, the former military guy and LEO guy, he's saying I'm probably going to get pulled over because it's straight pipe, but Max, like, it ain't straight pipe. You got freaking Cadillac converters in the damn thing. How's that straight pipe? Because in this car here, we took out the mid mufflers, but they're not even mid mufflers now. I didn't even know this, which is really good information. This has mid resonators and rear resonators. So if we go out here, where's my Plum Crazy? Good Lord. You know what? It's so funny. I just have so many cars and I park things outside. For a minute, I'm thinking, holy crap, it's gone. It's gone. You know, but the kid's gone, but she's in the Bronco. But so unbeknownst to me, the Dodge Scat Pack 392 package, it actually has mid mufflers, and then it has these resonators here in the back in this car. So I took out the mid mufflers, and then I took, I didn't remove the rear resonators on this car. That's a good point. We should start this car up right now, just kind of show you. But the whole point is, so already this car in some ways should be a lot louder than it is, because it doesn't have really mufflers in the car. But at the same time, that car has been so mundane that it's just like, So let's go over here to Super B, and I have so many keys. Where the hell is it? It just doesn't end, man. It's just not easy being me with all these vehicles, as you know. And we were talking about the Ford. You know, how many Fords do I have versus other brands? And the Ford definitely is more. So let's go here and listen to this. But it's not in the garage. But still, this is still a nice tone. Let's listen to this. Wow. Yeah, it's nice. But I think the Hellcat's a little louder. So not bad. I wish in some ways my Mustang was an automatic, because I could do a remote start. You can't do a remote start. And so forget that. But here you go. So that's not bad. I mean, I think that sounds really good. But I think now the Red Eye Hellcat, but I really do believe too that this Roush exhaust on this thing here, the H-pipe, I think those are probably pretty close on the noise. And then my daughter's car, it is so loud, but we don't know what the guy did to that. Never had put it on a lift to figure out what they did on that. So anyways, the cash conversations, right? How do you take that and turn it into the entertainment of the morning? Well, I'm so excited just about my exhaust, right? I mean, come on. Max Custom Exhaust, that place is always busy because everybody wants the new and different exhaust note, or some people need a new muffler, whatever it may be. But the whole point is, it's all about that exhaust note. You go 50 years from now, 30 years from now, whatever it may be, and think Max Custom Exhaust will be non-existent if the Green Agenda activists accomplish their mission. So like for his son will witness in his lifetime from his father having an exhaust business that, as he progresses and gets to be my age, so for him, that'd be like 40 years plus, he could witness possibly that business be non-existent because of the electric vehicles taking over. Is that really going to happen? I think a lot of people are like, nah, that ain't going to happen. Well, yeah, and sadly, the trend continues on throughout the world. BYD, Build Your Dream, is getting ready to outsell Toyota. BYD, not as far as what I mean by that is right now in the world market, Toyota is the number one selling product in the world. Behind that's Volkswagen, and then it goes down through the list, and as it gets smaller and smaller, which is kind of interesting. So General Motors outsells Ford. Like GM will sell like 4 million vehicles this year, and Ford will sell over 3 million vehicles. But BYD, I've talked about this China company, Warren Buffett, Berkshire Hathaway investment from 2009. 2009, Berkshire Hathaway invested in this guy, Wang. I think that's his name, Wang or Wong or something. That's the CEO that started that company back in like 1999. That was basically a battery manufacturing company for Nokia phones, Motorola phones. And he evolved it into a much bigger footprint to be a car manufacturer. Incredible struggles. But apparently, back in like 2009, Berkshire Hathaway invested $278 million or $228 million. That investment today is worth $8 billion. So BYD out of China is going to overtake Tesla in sales, but not overtake in gross profits and gross, so I should say they're going to overtake Tesla in models sold. They aren't going to overtake Tesla yet on their gross sales of the company because Tesla has more expensive vehicles than they do. So why am I talking about that? I'm talking about that because the electric revolution is on our door, and here I am this morning just so fixated on this Hellcat that I rarely ever drive, and the exhaust, I mean, even for me being around the car yesterday, to get up this morning and now to hear this, it's like, wow, it's badass. I'm blown away how good it sounds. So I'm really excited, and I'm really excited about what I did on the back end to give this thing a little bit more of a flair to it. I like the dual quad tips. It's so retro. I wonder what other people think. They think, yeah, no, those oval ones. The oval ones would just kind of blend in to the back bumper, the lower area down there. So you really they just didn't really jump out at you. First, I think, look here, the Mustang. Look at this here. Does that look so nice? I mean, for the Ford Mustang, I got my updated plates. See that? My other plates, so I had to get new plates. Ice Age. That's the official Ice Age vehicle for the Ice Age YouTube channel. The Ford, I picked the Ford over the Dodge. What's that all about? Because I'm such the Mopar fanatic guy, but here you go. Let's go back here, and we should have just named the channel the Exhaust. We should have named it today the Exhaust. I've already done exhaust conversations though, so I need to get creative on the cache, which I guess we'll get to that eventually. But I'm just having too much fun right now looking at how this Ford Mustang, it has the dual tips. And it gives it such, I think, the flair, the character. It looks so good. I think this Mustang really, I think this is such a good looking car. I really have never been the real Mustang guy growing up. But I just really do love the way Ford, really sharpened the lines up on it and did a great job. And the car is so much fun. The Challenger, it's a challenge because it just doesn't exuberate that same type of race me feel in it. Don't get me wrong, this is a very nice car. You put it in sport mode, it does give you a little bit more character and flair, but it's a bigger platform car, so you feel like you're so much in the sedan. This so much makes you feel like you're in the race car. That's one thing I started thinking to myself this morning. This past year, I've bought 33 vehicles. That's basically, in 1 month, a vehicle every day. And the running joke for me, my friends and people say, is like, for you could drive a different car or a motorcycle every day of your life for a month. Is that factual? I mean, I don't know. I think it is. I mean, I know how many cars they have and how many motorcycles they have. And I'd have to say, yes, I actually get up and I could drive. Could you imagine if I had a regular job and nobody actually knew who I was? And, I could do like a prank. I sign up for this job and just take a job somewhere where I have to drive to the office every day. And they don't know any idea who I am. And I show up each day in a different vehicle. Would that be classic? If people be like, hey, this guy showed up yesterday in his Ford Powerboost. Now the guy's today in a Mojave. Then the guy just showed up in a GT Mustang. I don't think they'd figure out the two different Mustangs personally. And then the guy shows up in a Bronco Raptor. Then the guy can you imagine the chitter chatter in the back end? Then he shows up on a motorcycle. This guy, this is a 6-year-old guy. He drives in this like crotch-rocket bike. Who is this guy? What is this guy's problem? Who does this guy think he is? Who's the heir to what family, right? Yeah, right. Yeah, so, the cash. Cash is king. Yeah, would I be cash is king guy? I mean, would my channel need to be renamed to Cash is King if I got rid of all these addictions? I mean, sincerely, and I tell people all the time. I go to the car dealer, motorcycle dealer. I run into people like, "Oh, you're so rich." I'm like, "I am not rich. I'm a guy that gives all my money back to the banks." So yes, would I be rich if I get rid of this stuff? I really would. Would I be the guy that probably would own houses, maybe even commercial properties? I mean, there's no doubt if I was the guy that was really more astute in my monies, in my addictions that are so bad about buying cars and trucks and motorcycles all the time, think about how much cash I spent this past year. And that's why I thought the cash conversation would be a great conversation from the credit conversation yesterday, because of it requires credit for me to be able to buy this stuff. Yes, if I wasn't buying all this stuff, could I go pay cash for things? Yes, in so many ways. You can only write a check, because once you have a cash transaction over $10,000, whoever's doing a transaction with you as a business has to report you to the IRS to alert them that they got paid cash by you, to make sure they know who you are. Yeah, that's a fact. You have to do that. But people don't do that anymore. You just write a check, certified check, whatever it may be. And the whole point of that is, when you go buy something, typically, what does the salesperson say? So you walk up, "Hey, I really like this Mustang, dark horse, really cool, and I'm thinking about buying it." And so then the guy said, "Well, okay, what do you how do you want to finance it, or buy it, or whatever it may be?" And then when the guy's like, "Well, I think I'm going to finance it." "All right, well, you want to fill out a credit application?" "Yeah, I may do that if I can think that this is the right decision, the right price. What's the price?" And they work all the numbers up and everything. And they come back and say, "Okay, the car is $68 grand. We'll sell it to you for $65 grand. Because just to kind of get to the end of the month, blah, blah, blah." "All right, so how much cash are you going to put down?" And for the Harley product, whether you realize it or not, Harley Davidson's adamant about usually 10% down. Not saying that they make everybody do that all the time, but technically, Harley likes to see if you buy the bike for 20 grand, you put down 2 grand. That's just kind of their policy. So if you buy it for 30 grand, you buy it for 50 grand, it's all incremental. 2 grand, 3 grand, 5 grand, whatever it may be. And banks are more, they're not as stringent with that. Banks will typically let you buy a car with no money down. Banks will typically let you buy a car with negative equity put into it. But at the same time, a lot of times the banks will require something down, and that's where the cash comes in. That's when you have to step up and say, "All right, I'm going to put 5 grand down, 5 grand cash down, or I'm going to put down 10 grand cash, or whatever it may be." And once again, you're not going to pay cash, you're going to write them a check. Well, here's a story. At the Harley dealer, apparently a guy came in and bought a $20,000 Harley. It may have been a Street Bob, Fat Bob, Breakout, I'm not sure. But up there at Chesapeake Harley Davidson, what they told me is a guy came in with 100 gift cards that all had different values on them. And it may have been more than that. So the guy had been giving gift cards, I guess, over the years, but I thought all those gift cards expired after a certain amount of time. But anyways, he apparently bought a motorcycle from Chesapeake Harley Davidson with all his gift cards. Is that pretty cool or what? You'd imagine over the years. But I thought those had expiration dates on it, so I don't know. Did the guy go out and try to get his YouTube channel? Apparently, there's a YouTube video of this guy doing this. So did the guy get creative and go out and buy all these gift cards to go get attention? I have no idea. I've never watched it. Look at the Lowrider ST. The kid loves the Lowrider. I love my Breakout. And it's really warm out. It's incredibly how nice and warm out, but it's all drizzly. And that's something I was doing yesterday coming back in, was I just couldn't get into this thing, get the real exhaust out of it, because the car was breaking loose. One time it did break loose. Like, nah, forget this. I'm going to crash in the car to try to give you the exhaust note. So back to the cash. So that's the challenge, I think, for a lot of people. People want to buy a car, and the bank then says, "Well, you know what? You got to put some cash down." And then the person is like, "Well, I'm just not in position to do that, because I'm just not in position to do that." So the deal doesn't go down. If you're watching my channel, you know I've had many conversations about this Raptor 37 And if you watch the channel, you remember there's a white Mustang that used to sit here next to this Mustang, and that truck wasn't here at the time. And I was trying to buy a 37 Raptor from Ted Britt Ford, blacked out, really nice, really wanted the deal. And Ford Motor Credit was not going to do the deal, but they would do the deal. And the conditions were I put $47,000 down to buy the car. I'm like, there's no way. So that's all. More to that story that I'm going to take the time here to really go into. But the people who watch my channel know that better than others that don't really watch my channel all the time. And I get all that. So what is going on in today's society is the transfer of how we buy things and the cash. You know, we're becoming a cashless society, which some people don't like that. Some people still like to pay cash by going to the grocery store, going to the bar, going to the parts store, whatever it may be. Some people still like the idea of not having every electronic transaction being known, because you just don't like that. But that's where society is going. And I was thinking to myself about, I told you yesterday on how, like, Costco did $1.3 million sales on Friday of last week. Got to drink my coffee here, so just enjoy the artwork. That's very expensive art, and you hang it up on the wall. Yeah, think about how much artwork and the value of all my artwork would be if I was ever buying paintings and actual things that would probably gain in value instead of lose in value. So the cash transactions at Costco was probably very minimal, of $1.3 million. But what people don't think about, which if you're a business owner that takes point of sale transactions, so POS means point of sale. That's the terminal that you go up to when you buy something and use your debit card or credit card. Well, for many, many, many years ago, in 2007 and 8, when I had a lawn and garden equipment dealership, that business there, it was just still the very early stages of credit not being the most dominant thing. But I'll never forget being in that business. And when I did like $300,000 in gross sales, that was my best month ever in that business. And never ever hit that ever again, because the change of times and the economy going south. But the whole point is, for me as a business owner, I was making no money in that business. And it was very depressing, very challenging. And fortunately, I had money coming in from other businesses as well at that time. And there it is. That was a business that bankrupted me back in 2008. Talked a little about that yesterday, about bankruptcy. And so the point of that conversation is that I paid out $6,000 in credit card fees. Because if you're a merchant or you're a retailer, you understand that the back-end credit card processing company can get 3-4%. American Express was the worst, 7% transaction fee. And so if a guy spent $1,000 at your shop, that was $70 charged to me. Now today, a lot of businesses pass on those type of higher fees. If you deal with the government and pay any bills, they charge you a 3% fee for using credit. So the point of that is that for Costco, the $1.3 million, let's just say the Costco and these big merchants, they have like 1% fees. If you're a little guy, you may be into somebody for 2%, 3%, 4%, whatever it may be. The bigger you are, the more power you have. And for the record, Walmart and the likes of Costco, for years they have lobbied to become their own bank because they're sick of having to pay Visa and MasterCard and Discover and American Express these fees to do transactions at their stores. So if Costco did $1.3 million and they only had a 1% transaction fee in their cards from those being debit cards, because debit cards are a lower transaction fee than a credit card fee, because credit card fees, you can reverse them. Debit card fees are very challenging to reverse. So anybody out there that's feeling that you're maybe dealing with something and you don't trust the merchant, if you don't trust the store, you're better off doing a credit card transaction, because that's easier to reverse that charge than a debit transaction. The debit transaction, borderline, in so many ways, is like a cash transaction. So it's a little more challenging to have that reversed. Not saying you can't do it, but it could have changed. But years ago, you were safer to do credit. So for Costco, 1% of $1.3 million, that's like $13,000? Is that right? Yeah, $13,000. 10% would be $130,000. So $13,000 was collected by these merchants, these credit card companies. And so you stop and think about what's going on in our industry. For us as consumers, is we are paying out more than ever with our electronic devices. And the merchants and the back end guys are making monies never seen before, because the cashless society is transitioning to the electronic transfer of funds, and the merchants that process these transactions, they're making so much money. And think about the gas stations. You know, when you go to a gas station, and for the merchant that gets a 1% or 2% fee, you remember I'm talking a percent, not 1 cent, a percentage. So back when the gas prices were $4, $5, somebody like, what do you mean back? There still are $4. Well, okay, $5. So at a gas station, you go get gas, and it's a $5 a gallon, and you use your credit card, and it's a 3% fee against the gas station owner. That gas station owner has to factor in 15 cents. So I'm like, no way. Okay, we'll take it to 1%. It's 5 cents. That's why usually you're in your credit versus your cash is more expensive. But the whole point is the gas station owner is paying out huge amounts of money every month to have the cashless transactions go down. And so once again, somebody like, well, you know, okay, this is great, Mr. Iceman, but what's the point of this cashless to cars, to credit, blah, 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 blah. Well, here's the point. The pandemic created the biggest cash influx in this economy, driven by the governing bodies and state bodies, federal bodies, never seen in modern times. And it created, in my eyes, the very expensive where we are today, because so much money was given out to people that they didn't have to go earn it. They were just given the money, and it was basically cash. You were paid cash. And what I mean by that is you were given money that you didn't have to repay. So even though you got it in a form of a check, it's in so many ways you were given cash to get through those challenging times. The payroll protection plans that were given to businesses, the fraud through the roof, the people to stay at home that got paid by the state unemployment, huge. I mean, it's huge. I could go on and on and on, and most people I think are abreast. But that cash infusion created the inflation of our economy. I think you hear people talk about it, but you know as well as I do, when you're given something, you're more susceptible to paying more. I mean, you're more susceptible to just spending the money foolishly. That's the running joke of anybody that knows a family that has incredible wealth. And the running joke is the father makes all the money and then the son spends all the money. That's not my story. My father made money, but I'm the guy that's gone out and has borrowed all the money. My dad never borrowed money like what I've borrowed in his lifetime, and most never will. And yeah, you're the smarter ones on that. I get it. But once again, the point is this expensive things that are around us more than ever. I truly believe that the cash infusion to our economy then created the attitude that, oh, okay, so the motorcycle now is more money. Yeah, who cares? We got extra money coming in, and we'll just pay the price. And the cars, we witnessed it with the cars, huge the cars. We witnessed it with the housing market. We witnessed it with the food prices, because you have to really stop and think to yourself, what really created the inflation? I mean, why did everything get so expensive so quickly? And I truly believe it's because of all the cash that was given out in our country and the world too. It's went on all throughout the world of other governing bodies that did the same type of thing that we did on trying to keep people afloat while everything was locked down and so many people were out of their jobs, or their jobs were cut back on the hours you worked, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, what's so, crazy about all of that is the motorcycle industry saw its biggest leap of sales in modern times. The car industry, the truck industry, the bicycle industry, the exercise equipment industry, the ATV. I mean, the all these boat industry, the RV industry. Everybody and their brother went out and started buying this stuff that created the demand like never seen. But yet they were using their credit for the most part to buy it. And yeah, I heard a lot of stories of people showing up with cash to buy things as well. But I can promise you that a majority of people financed their things during that the pandemic. So that, in so many ways, the cash. So many people relate with cash. Cash is king. Yeah, cash is king in our most recent modern times. And what I think has created the highest times of living in modern times. And so anyways, the cash ideas, and what I was saying to you earlier, is if you look at me, 33 transactions. What do you think the average amount of cash I've had to put down to make a transaction go down? Now, you said, well, I'll just say $5,000. Okay, you're talking about $165,000 that I spent this past year to buy vehicles. Is that factual? Even for me, is that factual? I don't think it is, because on some transactions, I didn't have to put anything down, but other transactions, I had to put a lot more down. So do I want to know? Well, of course I know, but at the same time, wow, okay, that's what I talked about a lot is think about the amount of money you have to earn in order to have that capability to even be able to do that. And that's very, very challenging. And so, but here's the thing. Yesterday I met a guy named Doug at the Max Custom Exhaust. Really great guy, nice guy, Jeep guy. Hope he's watching my channel. He's a local guy. He emailed me, and he's in the videos a little bit. But the third video, I didn't even watch my last video. It just got too late and too much work, and Jesus Christ. This phone has a new software update, and for some reason it's changed on how it's storing my photos and videos somewhere else, and it's just it's complicated. It's a pain in the ass. This has turned into the Apple phone of having to be challenged. But anyway, so I was talking to my friend who's an investor and real estate guy, and I was saying, what do you think 2024 is? What do you think the housing market's going to be in shambles? And he's like, I just don't. He doesn't see it. I mean, I think most people would agree that this is not 2008. It's all different variable what's going on in the housing market, but I could be totally wrong. But I share with you the John Williams video, and you see all these other so-called experts that predict what's going to go on in 2024, and here we are. 2024 was on our doorstep. A week from today, it's 2024. A week from, Monday is New Year's Day. And so is cash going to be the king of 2024? And, meaning that the people that didn't go out and buy things, didn't overpay for things, that saved their money up, and they're patiently waiting on the sidelines for the crash of so many things going down in value because the people don't have the cash that they used to, and they've maxed themselves out on their credit. That does the day of reckoning begin, where you can get a deal on cars and motorcycles and a house. Does that start to play out in 2024? If it does, I'll honestly say I'm like 2 years late on my prediction. I really thought in 2022 we'd start to see a pretty big correction of all the what I call the fake economy, the fake money, and then 2023 is here, and 2023 has been some of the best performing stocks in recent times. So if you were smart and kept your money in the market, you probably did extremely well. And yeah, I didn't do that. I wasn't the smart one. I'll tell you that right now. So if I'm trying to convey on my channel, anybody here, that I'm the professor and the smart one, sorry, I'm not. I'm just sharing with you guys thoughts and ideas and views and all my addictions to my cars and trucks, and just having fun as I progress in life. And so if you're the smart one, you're saving up all you can, because I think probably, but is it radical? I mean, is it radical? Is Harley Davidson going to be forced to start taking $5,000 off these bikes, $10,000 off these bikes? Is Ford going to be forced to start taking huge sums of monies off their cars? I mean, is that going to play out? And so for those, I'm sure that there's somebody out there that they're just hoping and praying that what I'm talking about plays out, so they can get the deal. Like it used to be. Remember the good old days? The good old days, you'd go in to buy something, and they wanted to discount it. They wanted to get your business. I know one thing. One of my guys at Kuhn Sterling Ford down there in Sterling, he's reaching out to me. They got a Raptor R, Ford F-150 truck, and he's asked me if I want to buy it. And I'm like, wow. Usually when these Ford Raptor R trucks come in that are supercharged, usually those things are, swooped up and gone, and somebody pays 20, 30, 40, 50 grand over to get the damn thing. All right, what's going on here now? I got the dogs. Keep the ball moving. Isn't really, per se, cold out. And, so as I knock over my coffee, just sit down on the gloomy, dreary time of year. Who doesn't just dread, in so many ways, this time of year, where it's dark, gets dark early, it's usually cool out, rainy, all your outdoor festivities are more challenging. Here's my Harley Davidson paraphernalia stuff I bought when I bought that Breakout. Yeah, they give that to me? No. Did I ask my sales guy? I didn't. Those guys, they're not selling much. That's a fact. Skyline Harley, I don't know how this, you have to have deep pockets. Deep pockets, because if you saw me out there looking at the trikes that I did not buy, and the environment, you just sensed it. But it's a slow time of year. It's the motorcycle industry overall. Oh yeah, my Challenger is ready to bring home. Where the hell am I putting that, right? What's going on with my computer? So my computer is just, and the fight of the fight. So the cash is king. Who here thinks that 2024 is going to be the year where the real deals start to happen? Do you really think that we're witnessing a crash? Do you really think it's going to play out? And, but here's the thing that I was talking about earlier about BYD. Build your dream, the Chinese. And that's what I was wanting to take this cash conversation to. The State of Times conversation is, in so many ways, the Joe Biden administration has created the cash machine for the big companies. And it's really interesting that you hear people that'll be critical of one sitting president and one administration over another sitting president and another administration. So for the previous administration, president, the talk was all the big tax cuts favored the big guys. That's the talk, that Donald Trump was in with the big guys. He's the big guys, and he's going to reward them, the oil companies. The list goes on and on and on and on. And to me, it's like, do these people actually read the news? Do you realize that the oil companies have had the biggest record profits under Joe Biden's policies? Is anybody paying attention to this? Is anybody paying attention that the automotive industry, if so many industries have made, the big business guys have made more money in profits than any, and in modern times, of anybody. So for all the, the naysayers and all, they say that one party is pro enriching big business versus the other. It's like, so do you read financial reports? Do you actually read something before you start mouthing off? So yeah, I'm like, yeah, Mr. Iceman, like right now with you're not accurate in that. Really? I'm not accurate on that? Huh, interesting. And yeah, some will say, well, by the time Joe Biden's done in this presidency, all these companies that you say were, made record profits, they're going to have record losses. Well, I could honestly say, yeah, that's possible, because it's what I'm talking about, the Inflation Reduction Act. From what Joe Biden put into place, it's a year ago, 2022, that all this baloney started with the handout of cash. So in so many ways, the green agenda is handing out cash to enrich companies. Hopefully, that's the goal. Their goal is to get companies to set up shop here in our country to build all these electric cars, electric batteries, and semiconductors and everything else to hopefully enrich our own our country's workforce and employment for our country to make it better and healthier. And that's what Joe Biden is always, saying, that he's creating, the job wealth like never ever seen before. But at the same time, we're witnessing that we're really just following the China business model. And that's what I was talking about. BYD, this very successful owner of that company, CEO, that he started back in 1999 just building lithium ion batteries for Nokia and Motorola phones. And then over years, he slowly evolved into the car market, where he built his first, like in 2000, I think 2001 or 2 or 3, a plug-in, basically a hybrid car. And then in 2009, they actually started gaining traction. But at the same time, the company went through incredibly challenging times and financial hardships. But this guy never gave up. And the guy now, from when Money Seed, the Build Your Dream car, is going to overtake Tesla and having far more models, far more affordable cars. And this is now rattling the European Union and for us here stateside, because this country sees, as the European Union sees, this administration sees, that this is going to be a huge threat for what Joe Biden's trying to create on our own domestic side of competing in the worldwide revolution of the change of transportation, of electric vehicles. So the EU, just like our country, has very high tariffs to try to keep these guys out of our backyard. But it's inevitable. I can't see on how eventually China won't infiltrate into our country with their technologies that will in so many ways, I feel, will dismantle all of this cash that's been given to these companies that won't be able to play the same level of they won't be able to compete on the same level, because our country doesn't support borderline the abuse of people on how they're paid. In China that it's a whole different regime and power, and what they can get away with on how much they pay somebody that's living, barely living compared to this country. I mean, can you see? I mean, it contradicts itself, because on one side, this administration wants to create all this home-based manufacturing, but in order for it to be on the level playing field of what China is going to create in the end, it's going to create the unions to be non-union. I mean, it's going to be very challenging for you as a company to have union people working for you. You have to pay all these entitlements to have them work while you're competing against BYD and the likes of others. And that's what they talk about, is the Ford, the GM, the Toyota, the Honda, the Hyundai, all these, Audi, Volkswagen, Mercedes-Benz, all the long-term, close to 100-year-old companies, 75-year, 80-year-old companies, and some 40, 50 years old, they're going to have to adapt faster than ever with this new revolution of the electric vehicle. But I'm sure a lot of people watching the channel will be like, but that just isn't happening here for now. For now, right, it's not. And in fact, that's the big talk, that the EV sales here are in terrible shape. But at the same time, the ongoing push for the green agenda and the ongoing push of the world slowly, but over in China is very strong in South America. China is extremely strong in Australia. China is even stronger over there in parts of Europe. And then China is extremely strong in China. But they're not. Their presence in Mexico, North America, Canada is not here. Their presence in South Africa, believe it or not, is not there. So there's still huge. And then in South America, it would be probably like half the country more of the East Coast is more prevalent with the Chinese build your dream market share. And I'm talking about BYD. If you look at their market share, where they are and where they're growing at the fastest pace. So for this administration that's wanting to handle all this money, that's enticing people to set up shop here and build all this technology. I mean, do you think that anybody really starts grasping what's going on? How are they going to compete against China? And why are we following the Chinese business model? I mean, it's just befuddling in so many ways that this whole green agenda, and that's where then the conspiracy theories come out. And that's when the agenda theories come out. Because then you really start to just think to yourself that this is not really about us helping save the planet. This is so much more about the control of us, more than ever, that I talk about all the time with Elon Musk, that is the front runner that's creating all the control of us for the future, like never seen. I truly believe Elon Musk is going to create the biggest infrastructure of control we've never ever seen, because of what I've talked about a gazillion times. Because of his cars. His cars are self-driving. The Optimus, the Neuralink for the computer in your brain, his Starlink for all the ISP, Internet Service Provider, for his social media presence with X, with his artificial intelligence. I mean, he has all of the key components to create and just organize the capability of everything we do is all at the mercy of Elon Musk, which I think in the end the governing bodies will take from him. They're gonna pester him, which is will make him madder to try to get it done even faster. And then, but I think at the end, I think the governing bodies are gonna be like, yeah, let Elon Musk build this whole infrastructure out for us, because in the end we're just gonna take it away from him, and then we're gonna have incredible dominance with the cashless society. That's me. That is a huge concern of so many, that the cashless society is going to track and control everything you want to do. And it gets kind of redundant in some of these conversations, so I'm going to leave it at that. And that's the cash conversations, from the payoff conversations, from the credit conversations, and then, what is tomorrow? What, in all sincereness, I came up with the cash conversation really just before I walked out the front door of my house. And I used to BYD, that I read in great depth this morning about how it's overtaking the world sale. Well, it's already overtaking the world sales in electric vehicles per se, but on how it's going to potentially be the Toyota of one day, maybe. I mean, that's hard to believe. I mean, that's huge numbers you're talking about with Toyota versus, but GM and Ford, it's incredible how they're so small in the world dominance of car production. They're not that big. They're not as big as you may think. And I always really kind of thought that they were bigger than they really are. But it's really Toyota and Volkswagen are the dominant players of the world that sell all these cars and trucks. So, and even for me, I've never really been fixated on Toyota per se, but Toyota dwarfs General Motors. General Motors is borderline lying like a flea on their back. I mean, no lie. All right, everybody, that's it. What am I going to do next? I don't know. Who knows? What's the next project? What I would give Max to do next? Hopefully my exhaust comes in for my breakout. But I've even had some people reach out, what's your next purchase this year? There's not any more purchases. I mean, I need to go through the list. That's one thing. I need to go through the list of all the vehicles I've purchased this past year. But can I do it in chronological order? How do I, versus I can just start spewing off what I have, what I bought. But can I do the time frame, the month, blah, 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 blah. That's where it gets more challenging. If the vehicle's in front of me, it's a little bit easier. Oh, the kid loves that AWE exhaust. It's a great package for that Bronco. Anybody out there has a Bronco, I think that AWE exhaust is a really nice setup, and it's just a great sound for a V6. I mean, if you remember, It's not a V8, it's a V6. So, all right, everybody. Once again, I'll quit talking. I'll stop. I'll stop. Thanks for watching my channel. Appreciate it. Spread the word. And stay tuned for more adventures, more stories, and another morning conversation. So, hey, everybody, God bless. Have a great day. Thank you so much for being a participant. And I love the comments.